The printed form of this video will be distributed to people who, in case of my death or suspicious passing, will go out of their way to distribute this both publicly and privately throughout the states. Dear Homeland Security, NSA, Department of Defense, FBI, CIA, the greater intelligence community, and local law enforcement. I am sure that after I have come forward with 10 witnesses, you are forced to concede my point, and you can understand that under these circumstances, what I am going to say makes perfect sense. I'm secure in my human rights and defending myself from those who seek to violate my freedom of religion, my right to choose my own lifestyle and beliefs, as well as my overall health. So let's begin, shall we? A gang stalker's opinion means less than a flea's. I have done what no other martial artist ever has, and I have done it drugged. They also fumed me and ran psyops on me, trying to keep me from eating nutritiously by drugging food. Now let me stop for one moment. Keep in mind that any attempt to play me out will be taken as a racist and ignorant violation of human rights in a country with a long history of doing so. And no one is going to say that I played the race card, especially with my 10 non-black witnesses. I'll continue. If they could have beaten me, they would have. Not just to financially sabotage me, but also to destroy my morale. Trying to destroy my morale has been a key tactic while they are trying to put me beneath other martial artists. Also, they are desperate to make it seem like black people are not smart and need other races to coach them in sports and war arts. The amount of trolls they have overkills my point. The drugging also began around the time I started training intensely again in late 2011. I will never agree to take psych meds or make any deal or take my videos down. These things are to be taken as a serious declaration of war, of total war. And total war shall commence immediately following any decisive action that takes down my videos or tries to force me on psych meds. Securing my rightful position as the top martial artist is the most important thing. I have 10 witnesses whose views need to be heard and thousands of videos that definitively prove who the enemies of humanity are. Having the respect I deserve and that I have earned will allow me to more effectively get my videos or my views out rather. Also letting it be known that I have accomplished what no other martial artist could dream of accomplishing. I have done this in the most populated state, offering enough money for anyone in the country to fly here and have several grand in their pocket if they could win. Sparring shows universal, convertible, transferable, and translatable skills in the most common form of martial arts competition. Having done this without a coach, mentor, master, or trainer also shows that a black man has outsmarted every martial art mind from every martial art in the world in the most diverse nation on earth. I will have definitively proven superior mind, body, and soul in the most respectable way. I would like to add that what you're doing and how you've been turning a blind eye on what you know to be true shows definitively that you do not want this to happen. I suppose part of national security is a sort of white social security, if you will. And I'm not talking about social security as you know it. I'm talking about maintaining the misconception that white people are superior. Again, I'm not playing the race card. I am half white. I have love for white people. But how I have been treated by institutions and groups with a long history of racism would force anybody, smart or stupid, to the unavoidable conclusion that racism and eugenics are at play here. And in order for them to justify eugenics in its different forms, they must deny me my rightful place in society. However, it is not because I'm being denied my rightful place in society that I will fight back. In case of any decisive action that tries to force me on psych meds and puts me in a position where I'm going to be damaged, where I'm going to be assaulted by mental health staff because of the threat to my life and my right to be a human being and not some sort of a slave. I would direct you all to Wikipedia's article on the campaign against psychiatric abuse. And I urge you all to check their sources, to do your research and due diligence before you say something stupid like that is Wikipedia. The campaign against psychiatric abuse was a group that was founded by Soviet dissident Viktor Feinberg in April 1975 and participated in the struggle against political abuse of psychiatry in the Soviet Union from 1975 to 1988. I was born in the early 80s, to kind of put things into perspective. The campaign involved national and international medical bodies to reveal the monstrous abuse of human rights through the misuse of psychiatry. The English branch was set up 5th September 1975, and the British section of the Action Committee Against Abuses of Psychiatry for Political Purposes, and composed of psychiatrists, other doctors and laymen, included David Markham, Max Gammon, William Shawcross, George Thainer, James Thakara, Tom Stoppard, Eric Avebury, Helen Bamber, and Vladimir Bukovsky. The chair of the organization was British psychiatrist Henry Dix. From the fall of 1976, its director was Viktor Feinberg. Committees similar to the campaign against psychiatric abuse were later set up in France, Germany, and Switzerland. So this establishes that this is a worldwide problem, and there are psychiatrists themselves who have said that the political abuse of psychiatry is rampant. And I will say that I'm sure we all can agree, unless some of us are being dishonest, that as soon as psychiatry has been abused politically on an individual, the entire country should be forced to the conclusion that all forced medication is wrong. But certainly that individual and his sanity should never be questioned. His freedom to decide whether he should turn to these abusers and their despicable pseudoscience should never be challenged, ever. And one thing that is certain, that the covert or forced drugging of that individual is so far out of the question that to even ask that question should make every righteous man's stomach turn forever and ever. Let me read the last paragraph. Campaigns of the British section of the group included a rally against psychiatric abuse in July 1976 in Trafalgar Square and led to the release of Vladimir Borisov, Vladimir Bukovsky, and Leonid Plyushkin. The group issued correspondence, bulletins, and other documents which are deposited in the International Institute of Social History, Amsterdam. The group was so effective that by the early 1980s, Soviet psychiatry had pariah status. Opposition in Britain included the Campaign Against Psychiatric Abuse, led the Royal College of Psychiatrists to establish the Special Committee on the Political Abuse of Psychiatry in 1978. The Campaign Against Psychiatric Abuse actually never said what its fallback position was. This must mean that the campaign favored confinement of the innocent in prisons instead of mental hospitals. So what they're saying, as medical professionals, psychiatrists, and people at the Royal College of Psychiatrists who set up the Special Committee on the Political Abuse of Psychiatry, is that psychiatry is such a horrendous and pernicious pseudoscience that people who are falsely detained or arrested or picked up by the state are better off in prisons than mental hospitals. This goes deep now, doesn't it? Now you can imagine, after a life of reform school and being the victim of the political abuse of psychiatry by white supremacists, gays, feminists, and godless scum. The rational man would take the same stance that I have. The careful observer would passionately take the same stance that I have. And someone as intellectual as myself would be able to promise you that every day you continue this and demand illegal, coercive demands from me, you will reap it!